Hi, everybody. It's Katie Harris, owner and CEO of ExperiencesPreneurs, and I'm here with Teresa Sanderson. Hi, Teresa.
Hey.
This is an episode of our Nursepreneurs podcast, our special marketing edition. So very excited to talk to Teresa today, not Christine, who is my admin. She's been talking to me all day, so that's she's on my mind. Okay, so actually, just to start out, I'm gonna. Just before we get into it, I was just telling Teresa before we got on live that I was a little upset because my other business, my Philly Wellness Center, just got like a 1-star review, and it was from a client who purchased a special package that we had for $169, and it was for body contouring. And she came in, had it done. It was great. She loved it. So she set up her second appointment, and we gave her a special deal. So normally it's $350, and we gave it to her for $200 if she booked that day. So she did. Then she didn't show up for her appointment, and like a week later, she called us and wanted all of her money back because she needed it for something else. And we're like, no. So then she contacts us today and says, can we have that appointment? And we're like, yeah, sure, come on in. And then I just got a Google review that I got a 1-star because we didn't give her money back. So yeah. What do you think, Teresa? What's the best move here?
Well, I think first of all, just transparency, like you're going forward with here, because it's an unfortunate thing that we can't please everybody. Some people, honestly, I believe, don't necessarily want to be pleased. They kind of want everything, give me all my money back, and I wanted to have my treatment. So it's hard to interpret, where people are at sometimes. And, but, I try to err on the side of kindness and compassion. Maybe there's something bizarre going on in this person's life. Typically it shows up in some kind of outward way like this, that people don't show up as their best selves, and it's unfortunate. But I think transparency, kind of anytime someone complains, it gives us an opportunity to reflect and kind of take some time to have a little introspective review, take ownership of anything that we might have done better, but also at the same time just say, we have to also look at the whole thing. It's not necessarily your fault at all. But I think it always gives us a good time to just do a review regardless, and from a best practices standpoint. But that being said, it stings, when we are out there doing our best to serve our community that we want to serve. I mean, 1-star reviews, things like that are just kind of, wow, is there not another way that we could have resolved it, or
right,
it would have left everyone feeling whole.
Right. But I mean, from a reputation standpoint, so now that becomes a very, very negative reflection on the business. So it definitely it demands a response. So how would you handle a response like this?
I think, again, I would lead with transparency, and I would say from a very objective viewpoint, just kind of state clearly what happened. Respond. I regret that you were not satisfied with what you felt that you received, but from our perspective, you came in for a treatment, you paid for one treatment, you got that treatment and enjoyed it, booked the other, and I would just kind of outline everything that had happened. And, but I agree. Those reviews are social proof, and they're a currency in the online space. So I think maybe there's an opportunity to keep the conversation open, or that kind of thing, to just say, if you'd like to discuss this further, perhaps we have that opportunity,
right,
to leave the door open.
So how would you, what is so aside from that conversation and definitely responding, what's the best way to fix when somebody has like poor ratings. So when you have a poor internet reputation, I mean, this is really, really bad. So what are some ways to remedy, like what can be done to negate? Because, now if your rating goes from like a 5 to a 3, nobody's going to want to come to your facility.
Right, right. And I think in those instances, it is a couple things. So for the people that you have who are visiting your facility and who are, your raving fans, your repeat customers, those ones that truly know and understand what you do, it's an opportunity to reach out and say, hey, would you mind leaving us a review? And I know that I believe that's a part of the NOLA platform too, right? That we can actually reach out to people very easily and ask for those reviews. So it's definitely an opportunity to take credit for the good work that you're doing and ask those raving fans to step up and say, hey, would you leave us a review?
Yeah.
Because I'm always very mindful of that when I'm looking at reviews in the online space. Is there only just one or two that are really standing out with like a 1-star? What's the trend? I think everyone looks at that. So I would encourage those folks to do that. And as well, though, with perhaps marketing and maybe even just customer service within the facility, great opportunities to just be able to say, guys, our goal is really, or to your customers, our goal is really 100% client satisfaction. We really want to meet your needs. We want you to love it here so that you come back and you tell all your friends. I mean, every business is in business to do exactly that, right? But we want to create that opportunity for our customers to know they can tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly, but tell us while you're here. We really would love it if you'd tell us while you're here so that we have the opportunity to fix it. Because we will fix it for you, Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, and it definitely goes to the question, because there's, I've always gotten asked these questions like, because it's every small business owner's just like bane of existence that people schedule appointments and then they don't show up. So then, they do a charge, right? So they'll do like a $50 charge, or they charge you for the whole thing if you don't show up. And, but the backlash there is, one, either you get a bad review because, they go on it and they do that, or two, they do a chargeback, and that affects your credit and your business. It impacts it very negatively. So, I know that you don't have a retail store, but in general, like what is your kind of policy for refunds for people that have already used your service and need the money now for something else?
Yeah. Our policy on that kind of thing is, especially because what I do a lot of intellectual product sales, courses, but that really will teach, nurses maybe how to become a CE provider. So they get all these templates and tools and things. And, once you've downloaded that information, even just had the opportunity to see it, you've taken advantage of it. It's hard for me to say, did you not download it and save it to your Google Drive? Did you share it with 30 of your friends? I mean, I don't have any way of knowing, right? So we have a strict policy on refunds that we do not, we don't award them for our digital products and services at all. But to that point, I'll say that I have the most awesome, amazing clients. And so I think another thing that happens is in the marketing and presentation of a business, we have the opportunity to really look for that unique, ideal client that we want to serve, the ones that don't suck all the oxygen out of the room, right? We've all had clients like that. And, it's hard for everybody. I don't think it feels good for the customer. It certainly doesn't feel good for us. So I think one of the things that I really work hard to do for my own business is target marketing specifically for the kind of person that I'm hoping to resonate with. And I know that's a little different than in a retail space as well, but I believe it can work, because when we're attracting the right people, then these things become much less of a problem as well.
So, following along that line of thinking, like, so how do you position a business so that you only get good people that don't use your services and then want their money back so they can buy something else.
I think in today's market, it comes down to a few things. I think it comes down to differentiation, number one, because there are a lot of people, I'm sure, in the same space. But when you can differentiate your products and services and become seen as the authority and the expert in that particular space, and you show up consistently on social media. For me, what works a lot with this, Katie, I'll just be honest, is doing a lot of live video. I do at least 2 live videos a week just for marketing purposes. And that allows my people the clients that I want to serve, get to know me through that live video space. And I know that I don't resonate with everybody. You know, my clients are typically 35 to 55. They're more mature women. And I know that the younger generation probably doesn't get me very well. You know, I've been at it a long time, but that's okay. They need their own person who's going to serve them. But this is one thing that for me has grown rapid know, like, and trust, is just showing up in that video space and talking about the things I do, the things I don't do, why I don't do certain things. And letting people know, sharing even the things like this situation where you got the 1-star review. I mean, that's actually a great thing that can easily be a story that can be told beyond this interview as just a piece of marketing and talking about why it's unfortunate. And, you know, but as a business owner, these are the things that I'm going to do in the future. Or, you know what I mean? It becomes that, yeah, it started like this, but look what I did with it kind of thing. But can really call your people to you. And I think that's really, really important, because when we're reaching the right people with our messaging, typically you will have people contacting your business and saying, hey, I've watched a ton of your videos and I'm ready to do business with you. I want to work with you. What does that look like? So that's a different space, but also, you know, I don't always accept every client that comes my way either. So I think there's that. But in the retail space, again, that's different. That's different than what I'm doing in the consulting space. So.
Right, exactly. All right. Well, so let's segue into customer journey, because this kind of plays onto that and stuff. And so, why is it crucial for businesses to understand customer journey?
Great question. And I think it's really important because the customer many times, you know, doesn't know what they need, right? Or maybe they know only the tip of the iceberg. This is something I think that, for instance, if somebody wants to learn marketing, sometimes they think all I need is a pack of Canva templates. If I get some Canva templates, I'm going to be able to do marketing, right? Well, that's you can make some pretty designs, but I don't know if anybody's going to read your stuff because it's not going to be specific. So you may find that even in the wellness center, that people come in thinking, oh, I've got this one thing going on. And as a practice, you all are saying, oh, when we see people who come in with this particular complaint or problem, they usually need this, this, and this, right? So they may come in saying, I need this particular service. And you guys are saying, okay, but typically that leads to this and this. Or before we do that, you might have this treatment or that treatment or whatever. So I think the customer journey, first of all, it's important to meet them where they are, answer their questions, talk to them about what it is that they're wanting to do. And then we have a couple of options. We can meet them where they are, if that's appropriate, or we can educate them about what might work better in that situation and how that might be the next step instead of the first step. So we have some opportunities, but the customer journey is really important because it's kind of like if I went into and I think it's Russell Brunson that uses this example, and he says, you know, if somebody came into a store and said, hey, I want to buy a barbecue grill. I'm going to be doing a cookout this weekend or something. Then, okay, so I'll take you over here and I'll show you the grills. And okay, so now I've decided what kind of grill I want. Well, what are you cooking? Are you cooking hamburgers? Are you cooking hot dogs? What else do you need? And then taking them over to that place so that they can choose what they need there, because their cookout is not complete yet just with buying the grill. They're going to need the food. They're going to need probably some paper plates. They might need a tablecloth. I mean, there's so many different things. And so the customer experience, the customer journey allows us to anticipate what's the customer going to need next. And we add more value to what we have, to how we serve them when we help them with those next steps.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are kind of some of the stages of a customer journey?
Oh man. Well, they all start out at the very top of the funnel, kind of outside of the funnel. And that may mean, if people haven't even entered your funnel, or, they're not on your email list or anything like that. So they may be blissfully unaware of a problem that they have, right? Because a lot of us we have zero awareness that, something like, well, what happened to me? I had no idea that all the chemical cleaners I had in my home were terrible for our health, right? Just really was way beyond me when I found that out. I was so angry, and I thought how much time we spend cleaning our homes with these toxic things. So anyway, I didn't know I had that problem. All of a sudden I was exposed to it, and then I got on somebody's email list, or I visited a website so I could learn more. And so now I knew I had this problem. So now I'm aware, right? Now I'm aware. I went from unaware to now I'm aware that there's a problem. And so I start learning about the problem, and gosh, this can cause lung problems. It can cause skin problems, all these different things. And so now I'm aware and engaged. And then I might take your free guide, right? I probably gave somebody my email address at some point so that I could take a step closer. And so now I'm engaged and I'm looking for a solution. So we kind of go down this road of being unaware to suddenly becoming aware, getting engaged, and then taking action and looking for solutions, to the point that ultimately we will either purchase or we'll decide, no, this isn't what I thought it was, and I'll go and look for something else. But I don't know if that's exactly what you were looking for, but
yeah, no, it sounds good. So how would you take them through a funnel from like a cold lead to a purchase?
Ooh, I like that question. Well, cold leads, I think, are wonderful. And I mean, because everything starts that way. Everything starts with us like really not knowing who is out there potentially in our client base. So one of the things that I like to do, of course, I said earlier, I do a lot of live video. I do, but in addition to that, I have, blog posts and other kinds of things as well. It's important to have a call to action at the end of any type of social media or other marketing that you do. And it needs to be a clear call to action, because in the absence of understanding, if the mind is confused, it will do nothing. So like right now, or anytime I'm promoting a workshop, I'll say, click the link below this video so you can sign up to get on the wait list and right? So clear call to action. So what might that look like that gets people to come closer to you and come into your funnel for the first time? One of the things that I don't think is working nearly as well as it worked probably 15 years ago is something on a website that says sign up for our newsletter. I don't think people are very willing to give up their email addresses anymore to get a newsletter. Nobody's really up for that. But somebody might be willing to give up their email address if you had some valuable information to share that's going to help them move the needle on their life or on their business right now before they spend a penny. And Katie, you do a great job of this with nursepreneurs. The free webinars, the free masterclasses, all of those kind of things that are out there, those help your people learn serious information, meaningful information that they can use today. And it grows know, like, and trust. So when they say, oh my gosh, a free 90-minute masterclass, how awesome. I'll sign up for that. But that's our first transaction. Even though there's no money exchanging hands, that is our first transaction with a customer. They're saying, I'll give you my email address. You give me this thing. That's what I want. So that's the transaction. So they come closer. And once somebody comes into a masterclass, a webinar, something like that, nothing grows know, like, and trust more quickly than that kind of intense learning experience. And so it's easy at the end of that, then we can make an offer for a paid product. And it might be a smaller paid product, or it might be a higher priced paid product. But in any case, now that they're with us, they've sat with us in a class, hopefully been engaged during the class, then we make an offer and then they can buy. Another way to do this is, if somebody had opted in for the masterclass, let's say they didn't buy at the end of the webinar, we still have the opportunity, and I know NOLA helps people with this, sending out those nurturing email afterward. Thank you so much for participating in the webinar. You learned these things. And if you're still thinking about it, you can click here and still grab, the next level. And so those things, but the nurturing email sequence and things like that are very important. I think many times nurse entrepreneurs feel like they're picking on people, or they feel like they're being heard from too much, and they don't want to send out that kind of stuff. But people need to hear that information a minimum of 7 times. And I think anymore people are saying 7 to 12 times at least before they're ready to take action. And so it's okay, stay in front of them. And one of the things I personally love to do in those follow-up email sequence is FAQs. I want to go through the most frequently asked questions, just one at a time. If you're still thinking about it, and a lot of people have this question, here's the answer. And, so here's the link, let me know if you have any questions, whatever. But yeah, so that's a great way to go. So I think giving them a lead magnet, an opportunity to come in, getting them to a webinar, a masterclass, or even an email sequence, having the opportunity to buy, spend more time with you, be more in your space, and then doing the follow-ups.
Yeah, I love that. And to your point, the lead magnets that we've had, like I've created like hundreds of lead magnets over the years. Oh my God, there's so much work that goes into them. And the irony is that, I don't think they're as, some of them are still great, but they're not as compelling, I would say, to download. Whereas the webinars are way more work, but it's worth it because, we bring on guests and experts, and the result is the same because we're still looking for email addresses so that we can introduce them and, tell them what we have and how we can help and that kind of stuff. So if you're in a small business, and I do this for Philly Wellness, I do webinars a lot. I'm actually about to launch a menopause summit. And, I have 10 different, speakers at this summit and stuff. And so that is our lead magnet. It's literally our lead magnet is bringing them in. But especially for retail, if you're a retail like IV Hydration or a med spa or whatever, really coupons, discounts, or special deals. You could take a huge lesson from Groupon. So Groupon, I wouldn't suggest signing up with Groupon, but I would template what Groupon is doing. So if you look at Groupon and let's say your IV Hydration, they have IV Hydration. It'll be like, for $99 you get, I don't know, the Myers cocktail or whatever the case may be. And you can see how many people have purchased it because it'll tell you in parentheses, it'll say 2,000 people purchased this and they gave it a 4.8 reviews. They do reviews. And you can do the same thing without Groupon on your website. Now, granted, you're not going to get the same amount of traffic, but to kind of to the point you made earlier about customer journey, you might not want the people that are going on Groupon to buy those things because they might be bottom feeders. They're just looking for the cheapest thing that they can find, and they're not going to. I actually started out on Groupon. That was one of the first things I tried, and I stopped after a month, and I was like, nope, because people would come in, they just wanted the cheapest thing that they could get, and then they were off to the next clinic to get the cheapest thing that they could get from that clinic.
Wow.
Other than the Groupon sale, I never saw any of those people ever again. They were never repeat clients. So that didn't work out in my favor, but I can put the same exact ad, the same exact offer on my website. and then work to drive traffic to the website. And that becomes the lead magnet. So you don't have to write like a 50-page book. You don't have to put on a summit. You know, you could simply just have an offer that people can opt in for. That could be super simple. Though having said that, the webinars are very powerful. And to Teresa's point, the more webinars you have, the more videos you have, the more people can get to know you and figure out if they want to work with you.
Yeah, there's nothing that thrills me more than when I get on an initial consultation with a client and they say, "Oh my gosh, I binge watched all your videos." I'm like, perfect. Now we're ready to talk.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. So, you know, what do you think are the touch points that are most critical to automate in the customer journey? And what do you think should not be automated, maybe even?
Oh, good question. Well, I think definitely, you know, it's important to have our systems and structures in place. So if we are going to have a lead magnet, anything for a customer to sign up for, it's very, very important that we have that automated response, that they get that immediate gratification in their email box that says, "Hey, we got your thing, we got your name, we're sending you the thing," right? So that they get that immediate response and they know that their message was received. There's nothing worse than a customer wondering or feeling like I have to follow up on what I signed up for. So we need to make sure that when we start doing business that we're ready, because we want to plan for success and know that company is coming. We've got people coming. And so I would definitely recommend automating that confirmation message. I definitely recommend automating email campaigns for things like webinars, different product services that are launching, things like that, to get people on board. Even for workshops, masterclasses, webinars, that kind of thing, all of those can be helpful. It's definitely very helpful for nurse entrepreneurs to automate their calendar scheduling process as much as possible. And I know whether that's for consultation or even for paid appointments, it's fantastic. Anything that we can automate that way is going to save you time and energy. It improves the customer experience so very much. They know what they're getting, they know when they're getting it, and everything is all set. So those are good things to automate. Some things that I probably would not automate would be, I think there are some things where an individual consultation is necessary. And one of the things I've done in my own business that I've been trialing is a virtual consultation that I've created. It's a video series, and it's interactive though, and people kind of choose where they want to go through it. And it's actually working very well, but they get a lot of information, very specific information that they're looking for about our CE services, but they always also have the opportunity to schedule an in-person consultation if that's what they need. Okay, so I don't want the full thing to be automated. I want them to have that opt-out if that's what they feel like they need. But that's been interesting. And I can tell you this, it is not the favorite of my clients. It's not the favorite. It's used on the weekends and things like that. But typically most people will just book an in-person consult. So I think specifically probably high ticket items, we need to be ready to sit down and talk to people. You know, they're going to want to hear from us. And know that we're willing to be there for them. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I would definitely, especially the calendar thing, that irks the crap out of me when somebody doesn't have a calendar and they're like, "Oh, when can you meet?" I'm like, "Just give me a calendar."
I hate that back and forth.
Yeah, it makes me crazy. I'm like, I don't even want to sign up anymore because like it's too much trouble to give you like all the dates that I'm potentially available, and if they don't respond immediately, that time gets taken up, and it's like, oh my God, just send me a calendar, like. So yeah, another thing that NOLA does for you. Oh, I don't know if you saw this, but I was really excited. NOLA now has Ad Manager inside of it, so you can run ads straight from NOLA. So I'm very, very excited.
That is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been setting mine up, and we're getting ready to, launch that to the nurses so that they can run their ads too, like lead ads. And basically your lead ads would, they can be your lead magnet, right? So somebody doesn't even have to leave Facebook. All they have to do is, find your interesting ad, right?
Yep.
And, your goal is to get a name and email from that lead, and then put them into a nurture sequence, just like Teresa mentioned. And you can do fairly low cost. I know a lot of people are a little scared or terrified of Facebook, and rightfully so, because it's sucked a lot of money out of us too. And it's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's marketing, right? Like you have to figure out the message. You have to, all the things that Teresa's just been talking about, you have to know who you're talking to, what it is they want. And there's some trial and error. There's no magic Facebook formula. It's how well do you know your audience, and how well do you know what they want, and how do you get it in front of them? And Facebook ads is one of those things. So, and that's where you can start the customer journey right there on the front end of that funnel. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's great. I wasn't aware that they had moved that into that workspace. That's awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. It just came out of labs. So yeah, we're really excited.
Yeah. And so many things have been added to the back end of that platform now, the documents, the invoices, just so many things are working out just really, really well. So
yeah, I would say that it's a blessing and a curse. A blessing because it's like it takes over so many things. Like there's a million things that it takes over, but in a way it's a curse because it does so many things that people become so overwhelmed with like all the things that they could do that they shut down. So it's like we have to kind of put it out there in drabs and dribbles and stuff. And it's like, you got to get back to basics. Like the first thing you need to do is get somebody's attention, get them in a lead form, and then we can, do all these other things.
Love that. Yeah. And I think that's so true. And it's so wise. I know when I was getting started, I just thought, I just want to replace the tools that I'm currently using. Let me just start there. Right. I know there's thousands of other things that are possible here. Right. But let me just start there with replacing what I'm paying for at different sources.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And replacing Kajabi, that saved us thousands. Replacing Acuity, that saved me another $100 a month. Replacing a lot of our, the funnels, building the funnel, that was a pain in the ass, building funnels out with different, like on your website, like to build a funnel out on a website is really complicated. And if you don't know what you're doing in WordPress, forget it. Like you're just going to break down into tears. Where this is just like, install, change out some images and words, and it's ready to go. So it's wonderful.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I do love that simple functionality. And one thing I'm learning, I think a lot of nurse entrepreneurs stress too over, having a website that is just right or perfect, right? And those kinds of things. And I'm beyond that. I have moved beyond that now because, I know sometimes I look at a website that people have out there and I'm going, wow, but that's a millionaire right there. It's the most plain, simple thing I ever would have seen. Maybe it looks a little clunky, but you know what? If it's doing its job, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. And I think we can obsess over the tiniest of details. I got to get this color exactly right. Oh my gosh, that font is wrong. Just quit holding yourself up and get your stuff out there. And
actually, ironically, it's like the opposite, right? Like the worse the website, more often it's like the more wealthy that person is because, I always followed Perry Marshall. I've been in his mastermind. I love that guy. He's amazing. But his website, my God, like it was built in like 1999 with HTML code that I'm sure he did himself because he's a science and a computer geek.
Oh man.
But this thing is so ugly, but he couldn't care less. Couldn't care less, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you get to know Perry through word of mouth and all his videos. And the guy is like prolific in writing and doing videos and webinars. That's how he gets the word out. And then his website sucks. So what are you going to do?
That's great.
Yep. So, all right. Well, this was fun. Really great episode just talking about, if you didn't hear the beginning of this, we were talking about Google reviews and what to do when you get a bad one, and how to, turn it into a silver lining, and also the customer journey. So both of those things are really, really important in marketing, and they're fundamental. Like if they're not sexy, so it's not like you get to buy all this fun software and with the promise it'll make you $1 million, but it will make you $1 million if you really focus your time and effort on those basics, and everything else will come later. But if you don't have those basics down, then you're just throwing money away, because you have to know who your audience is, what they want, and how to get their attention.
I agree. Can I add just one quick thing that came to my mind then?
Yeah, absolutely.
The only thing I would add is, many times we start out in business, we have one product or service, right? And that's a great place to start. Most everybody starts there. When you will get to know your customer's journey more closely the more you work with them. So the more clients you have, the more we'll start asking for different things. It's so funny. When I held my first CE workshop a couple of years ago, I really wanted to sell the course, right, of how to how to do it yourself. What I ended up selling, everybody started asking, can't you just do it for me? Can't you just do it for me, right? So all of a sudden, okay, so I didn't sell what I thought I'd sell, but I sold a bunch of the other. And I had to create this pop-up product. But I want to encourage everybody to listen to your customers, because they will tell you what it is they need. They will tell you, now that I have people who are approved CE providers, now they're saying, oh, Teresa, I need this, or I need that, or and you follow those trends. You don't necessarily just want to pop up a new product or service immediately when somebody asks. But if you get 3, 4, 5 people asking for the same thing, take note, because these are already your paying customers, and they can clearly guide you further down the path of creating additional products and services that are going to benefit you and them.
Right. Absolutely. Love it. All right, Teresa, this was fun. Thank you so much for sharing all this with us today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.